What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Rip City Retro. I'm Eric Brandt, joined by Rich Finley tonight. We got the crew together. Thank you for joining us. Rich, how you doing today?
I'm good. Are we a crew if we're two people?
Sure,
Okay. All right. I'll
because
allow it.
we got our regulars in chat too. So
Okay,
I
that's
like
good.
including them in our crew, right? Everyone's
Okay,
a part
that's
of our
true.
crew. Yeah.
Yeah, they're
So
the real show. So,
yeah, yep. So
so I'm good. I'm good. How you doing?
I'm excellent. How's your basketball game?
So you've heard this. I have actually played basketball here lately for the first time in almost 4 years.
That's awesome.
Yes. So it's interesting. Like when you've had like a serious injury like me, like you go through the first couple days are like, oh God, just don't get hurt.
Hmm.
Like it, you know, and then you go through the phase of you get hit a couple of times. It's like, oh, that actually feels pretty good. Like, so it's just kind of a process. Now we're actually locking in on playing well.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
uh played pretty well yesterday. A little faster than I anticipated. Woke up with really bad knees today for the first time in my life because I'm that old now.
Hmm.
But still, it was great. It was great to get out there and play. So I'm stoked.
Good.
So yeah.
Uh, Workshow says, "What's up, boys? I was boycotting the Moda Center remodel discourse, but I'll break it for you guys. We appreciate that." And unfortunately,
Thanks.
I wish this wasn't the only thing to talk about. I mean, we
Mm.
haven't made a ton of roster moves, which we've talked about all of them except for John Tonje signing a two-way. So
Oh,
we
love
can
that.
talk about that for a little bit. I feel like that was a good two-way signing, even though he's a guard. I felt like we did need a two-way guard that wasn't Livingston or Singleton. Sorry, getting my tons mixed up. Um, and yeah, after summer league, I didn't feel like he was the guard to command our if we need it type um, guard like Caleb Love was last year, and I feel like Tonje is a little bit better version of Caleb Love,
Hmm.
and so yeah, I thought it was fine. I don't. I think that's a pretty good signing for a two way. Now I wish maybe they would make a move with one of the other the aforementioned guard that we have on the roster already, but yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, the
Well,
screen on
it's
YouTube
it,
is flashing. I'm gonna start having seizures. Is that flashing for everyone? Because it doesn't look like it's flashing on my end. It says
yeah,
connection
I
failed.
don't have it. I don't have it flashing either, but I mean,
I don't know. Did anyone? Oh, it's flashing for other people too.
hmm.
I'll keep my eye on it. Not sure how to
So free throw guy says every 2 seconds. So
clear to me. Huh?
uh yeah.
Is it still doing it?
Mm. Sorry for you guys that it's happening to. I don't know.
Yeah. Um.
Hey, I didn't set up the stream, okay? So, I mean,
All right. I'll just keep my eye on it. Maybe I'm clicking on something. I'll just leave my mouse alone for now.
Super Bad says he keeps blinking. That's why. It's
Uh
just rapid blinking happening.
yeah.
Um, oh, Ryan said, I don't need to see you guys. I could just listen. Well,
Yeah, that's
that's
probably a better strategy. Yeah.
yeah, it's certainly the best way to watch the show
Yeah,
is to
for
not
sure.
look at it.
Yeah. Anyways, I thought that was a good two-way signing. Had some success in summer league. Not the greatest shooting percentages from in the G League last year, but it, like I said, a little better than
appeared
Caleb Love shooting splits. So uh,
appeared in what, 6 games for the Celtics?
yeah, a few, and
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I have no problem with it. I didn't really care that it was a guard. With Jaw, Dame, Drew, we talk about like our normal
Keep
rotation,
going.
but the minutes breakdown I'm gonna save for like our next, like when we don't have anything to talk about. But
When it's actually a basketball show.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can't wait to get back to that. But with Dame, Drew, and Jaw especially, I have a feeling a lot of those guys will be sitting out back to backs or have some sort of load management throughout the year.
Yeah.
Because all of them have dealt with injuries, or in the case of Dame and Drew specifically, are on the older side in their late 30s now. So,
And you'll see Drew slide over to a 3 from time to time.
yeah. But, like, so when that happens, I do think it's good to have a guy like Tonje in the mix. It's a little weird because we signed a two-way and we just expect him to get minutes because we're Blazer fans. But like, honestly, with the way this team is shaped up, other than if they're a forward, our two-way shouldn't hopefully get too many minutes. So if he's playing, it's probably a bad, no matter who we sign. Like even if it was Caleb Love back, I didn't really see a place for Caleb Love to get minutes because I don't even see a place for Scoot to get minutes right now,
Right.
let alone a two-way guy who can only play 50 games. So totally fine. I mean, okay, if you want to argue, Tyler, about if 36 is mid-30s or late 30s, I apologize if you consider that mid-30s and are trying to hold on to your youth. That's fine. But yeah.
How did you consider 36?
I don't know. I feel like
30
north of
36
35 is close to 40, and
30
before that,
36 36 was the first age that I ever remember somebody guessing my age and I was pissed off.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Like I was actually 36
Yeah.
and somebody was giving me the, yeah, but
You're
you're
36.
young, and I was like, how old do you think I am? You know. And then
They're like
and
36,
then they were
and
like,
you're like-
I don't know, 36. And I was like, you think I look 36 years old? And they were like, well, how old are you? I was like, well, 36.
Yeah.
But the lighting in here is horrible. Like, yeah. So 36. It is a bobsled ride into the grave from that point on.
I always had the opposite. Funny quick story. So I went to Hawaii when I had my 20th birthday in Hawaii. I was with my mom and brother.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And got they had this souvenir IDs or whatever you could buy, like in Waikiki, and I got a fake ID. It was from Virginia, actually, and so was so scared to use it, Rich, and so I get home and I finally get up the courage to go to like the liquor store and get something, and
Wolf, what's up?
and I go, it must have been 5 or 6 times. No, didn't get carded once. And I was like, what the heck? Like, I don't even need a fake ID. And then I got like I didn't think they were gonna card me, like I didn't know how this worked. And then like the 6th time I went, they carded me, and I panicked and just ran out of the store. And yeah, that was.
Well, you were like 7 feet tall by then, right?
Right.
Like weren't you enormous by then?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I had the opposites. Like, everyone, I looked like I was like 40 when I was 20, but like now, like I don't think I look 47 or whatever, other than I have like white in my beard, so.
Okay.
I mean, maybe you disagree with me, but
if you don't think it,
Yeah.
That's fine.
I feel 47 though. I feel older than 47. As your body's breaking down today too.
Oh, dude, my body's been breaking down for years. Waikiki has a near and dear place in my heart too. I got drunk for the only time in my life in Waikiki.
Oh, really?
So
Just
yes, I'm not a drinker. So
just
I
because, or
just
like, was there a
I
reason?
was I was on vacation with a girlfriend there,
Mm.
and to give her a present, I was like, you know what? Let's drink. And she was like, "Oh, really?" I was like, "Yes, let's drink," because she'd always wanted to see what I would be like drunk,
Yeah.
and it was very very interesting. I had all my wits about me, and I was just doing running commentary of me being drunk with like a terrible lisp and all of that.
Hmm.
So I was just I feel warm and my legs I can't feel my legs, but other than that I feel fine. Like it was a lot of that. So,
Well,
but did not
someday,
get did not get sick, did not get sick, did not get hungover, and I was like, okay, I'm out. Like that's enough. That's enough drinking. So,
until the day I play the role of your girlfriend and
okay,
make you have a few
okay,
drinks with me or something, just to
okay. The
celebrate us
stream.
hanging out. Yeah.
Okay, the stream is over. I'm calling a flagrant two on you right now.
Nope.
You are suspended from the next stream for that comment.
No way.
No, but I will totally. We when I come to Portland, we could totally do a shot. Like I will
Yeah.
totally do it.
All right.
So yeah.
We
But
can
anyway,
get like we can
hello,
get $40
hello.
beers at the renovated Moda Center.
Oh, fantastic! I just I love the food experience.
Yeah.
So real quick, hi to everybody in chat. I saw Blue Wolf in chat, who I have not seen in like forever. So what's up to him? What's up to Alec? Justy, like just everybody on here. The Sadist Nation, who asked me, he said he was 35. So does that mean that he is effed next year? Yes.
Yeah. But just
Yes.
I don't know when your birthday is, but just enjoy till you turn 36, because then it's all down.
Kiss it.
Because you're pretty much 40 at 36, right?
Yeah, you really are. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the beginning of your late 40s.
Yep.
Sorry. So,
Like I said, I'm
anyway,
47, so I'm pretty much 50. That's how it is.
and we're not going to mention my age.
You're almost like 80. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm 50, I'm 51.
Yeah. I know.
So, it sucks. But what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Um,
We're trying really hard to avoid serious talk.
yeah.
And
I don't want to get to the serious talk. Hey, how about that announcing crew, huh?
oh wow. So yeah, this happened last week after we streamed, and I messaged you because a lot of people are freaking out, and I would say rightfully so.
About Calabro?
Because Calabro, yes, Kevin Calabro was let go. Had one of the most epic quotes.
Oh my
Just
God.
one word, just calling the contract negotiations subprime. That was one of the all-time one-line zingers. Just in the context of this situation, that was a fantastic one-liner by him.
Just unbelievable. And by the way, Bry the kid had the exact same reaction that I had. As soon as I saw Calabro was not coming back, all I could think was paint it.
No.
Like that's all I could think. Please
Yeah.
no, please no. Like please don't do that.
But all I can think of, so I'm not trying to do the whataboutism. I'm really not, because it sucks, especially if you were a huge fan of Calabro. Obviously, super nice guy. It wasn't a Portland guy, but kind of became one, kind of. I know he still talks about Seattle a lot, but
and just his work. I mean, his body of work. Like you have to respect the guy. For his body of work in the NBA. So, I have all the respect in the world for him for that.
Real quick, I see Taylor Packer in chat. Did something happen to your Twitter, my guy? I tried to I wanted to message you the other day and I couldn't.
Oh,
I don't know. But anyways, it sucks because Um, and I'm not saying that this Dundon's come in and completely alienated the fan base and is acting like he doesn't give a crap about anything that the
Name
fans like.
name one thing he's done that you haven't liked. Narrow it to one.
We're not going to do that right now, but
Okay.
the thing is, it's not okay. He said he deactivated. Okay, good. I thought maybe I did something and you blocked me, and like I couldn't message you anymore. So I'm glad
Oh,
that's not the case, and you're here today because I forgot what it was, but there was something I really wanted to talk to you about, and I couldn't because I couldn't find you, and I even asked Trevin. I was like, "Can you see his page? Because he's gone." But it just so let me bring you back to 3 years ago, chat, when Rich and I were doing just occasional videos on the channel,
oh yeah.
and we did a segment. What was it officially? It was the
I
top
think
10
it was like top 10 painful moments.
painful moments in Blazer
Yeah.
like history.
Yeah, we really had to narrow it down.
We talked for like an hour about our honorable mentions before we even get a list. But
Yeah.
so we had our top 10, and it was so long we split it into like 10 through 6 and 5 through 1. And they're really good videos. I really think it's a good conversation. If you have not watched those on this channel, you should go back and find them. I maybe can post the link in the comments.
There's fun clips in there from classic Blazer games and things like that. Yeah.
But I threw a wrench in the whole thing right off the bat with my number 10, and that was the way the organization treats their announcers. And that was one of my top 10 most painful things for me, because at the time it was, well, Mike and Mike getting fired in 2016. That was out of the blue. They all had a year left on their contract. It wasn't even like negotiations or whatever. And they all three of them, it was Mike and Mike and Antonio Harvey, all got let go. And all three of them talked about how it was just out of the blue shock to them. And let me try to get you a Discord link, Brian. Anyways, so that was a painful thing in Blazer history. Just wiped them from going from, wow, we just made the second round after we lost half our team, and then we're on the come up again, and nope, goodbye, Mike and Mike. And I talked in there about how, like, I knew they weren't for everyone, but it was like part of watching a game. You knew you were going to watch it with Mike and Mike, and you knew they were going to get just as crazy and upset and pissed off and yell at the refs and get kicked out of games sometimes and all that stuff. Like,
and they were ours. They were ours, right?
Yeah. And Mike Rice was very leaning towards becoming a little too out there, is the nicest way to put it. But so, like, I kind of get it, but and who knows, maybe Barrett could come back now for 10% of what he was making
pennies
before.
Pennies on the dollar.
No. So that whole situation sucked, but that was when Paul Allen was still alive, and Bill Shawnley in 1998 was basically forced to not do radio anymore, and they tried to save it by letting him be the TV guy, and that was a disaster. And then they let him go, I don't know. It didn't work out, and that guy should have a lifetime pass as a Blazer announcer. You don't mess with him, right? But Paul Allen did, right? And Bill Shawnley was such a good guy, R.I.P., that he didn't even, like, you could tell it like hurt his relationship with the Blazers.
Oh
But
yeah.
like to his last days, he was still coded games and be a great ambassador for the Blazers despite that. And
There was no subprime comment
yeah,
coming from Sean Lee.
yeah. So the Blazers have a history of this. It's already happened. And like I said, I'm not trying to do the whataboutism, but this isn't exclusive to, wow, our announcers have been treated awesome throughout history. And this guy comes in and just blows that all out of the water and fires someone that people like. And,
Yeah.
and so, and Brian Wheeler, despite what Casey Holdall tried to reply to me on Twitter, direct from the source, was kind of felt like he was forced out versus, like obviously the health conditions played a huge part in that. But the Blazers also did him dirty by announcing what those health conditions were in a press
Yeah.
conference. And for those
Yeah.
that don't know, it's in an area that most guys don't like to make public if they have an issue down there.
I don't like to make it public.
Yes.
You know.
And I can't imagine he was like, oh yeah, go ahead and disclose that to everyone that I have an issue down there. And then watching him after that, after getting let go, his health deteriorating. Once again, R.I.P. Wheels. And then to see having fans having to come up with a GoFundMe for him, and his housing situation and health care situation were not up to standard. I felt like the Blazers should have stepped up and made it so fans didn't have to try and take care of him and just taking care of their guys. So like I was already like, I've already like all this to say I've been kind of like beaten down with this to where it doesn't even like it didn't even surprise me. Like I felt like this was coming. I felt like Calabro has kind of wanted to not be here the last couple of years since COVID. He actually the season you talked about with the Paint It, he actually took that season off, and I understand why.
Yeah.
But then there was the thing about the team possibly doing the radio from Portland and not sending their team to games, to their radio team or their TV team either. And they would be the only ones. Chicago does not send their radio, I think. I think that's a recent thing. But at the time, I think they would have been the only team that didn't do that. And then I don't know if Calabro wanted to do that. And then there's been some times where he hasn't traveled, years where he hasn't traveled or whatever. But once again, all this to say, it didn't surprise me that he was someone in Dundon's crosshairs as we don't need this guy, And
Yeah.
like I said, it's crappy that Dundon's come in and he just is going to do what he wants to do and does seemingly not give an F about what anyone thinks of his decisions or what he's doing. And, that sucks. But I can't blame the guy for doing something that's normal for the Blazers to do. Like, if that makes sense, like it's bad. Like I'm not trying to like say he shouldn't have let Calabro go or whatever.
And we should for people who don't know the whole story, like Calabro's contract was up. He had renegotiated. They were in renegotiations. And what were you telling me, Eric? Like it was basically like 20 cents on the dollar that they offered him his job, and that's why he said it was so easy to turn down. Something like that.
It was something to that effect. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
he wanted, I don't know if it's 20 or maybe 40%, but
Okay.
I think yeah, he was expecting everyone, if they wanted to stick around, to take pay cuts or whatever.
Has there been any talk of um who might step in to call games for the Blazers next year? Are you going to do this? Like, is that what's going to happen to the channel? You're going to end up calling games for the Blazers?
I mean, I would love to, but no, I haven't heard anything about what they're doing, and um, there was I don't know much about this, but what I've been told is that there was a pretty well respected guy, like I don't know if he was on Calabro's level, but in Carolina he did the same thing with one of their announcers who was like a legendary announcer or something, and he let him go. And
Who cares about that?
uh, and so yeah, I haven't heard anything. I don't know if anyone in chat has heard anything, but as far as the what they're going to do with an announcer, I'm assuming they're going to bring in a cheap version. And as far as I know, Hurd has not been let go.
Well, he's got
What
one more game on his. I mean, one more game, one more year on his contract, right? So he
I
like,
think so.
if
Yeah.
if if you're anticipating Lamar hanging around after next year, I wouldn't count on it. That dude, I like him a lot. He's just a great ambassador for the team in general. Like when they roll him out for press conferences and things like that. But he's too talented and just way too charismatic, and he's just a real asset, which is exactly why they won't keep him.
Yeah.
But
Well,
yeah, I wouldn't get too used to Lamar, unfortunately.
one of the questions I had is I just lost my train of thought.
You were talking about, I mean,
I got
obviously we're
I got
talking
it.
about
Yeah, thank you.
Calabro. Yeah.
Um, you know how, I mean, it's no secret here. You know how we both feel Chauncey and Joe Cronin were given extensions so that when the new ownership came in, they couldn't. If they got fired, they would have been compensated for being basically yes men and
Yeah.
whatever. We want to frame that however you want to frame that. Why didn't they do the same for the announcers? Like why didn't they give Calabro an extension before the new ownership took over so that he would have been under contract?
Probably because probably because Chauncey and um, Cronin were both given certain edicts, and they stuck to them and performed them, and so they gave them those like appreciation contracts on their way out the door
Mm-hmm.
for doing what they asked them to do all that time, which was, hey, we're going to hard cap you, don't complain about it, don't throw us under the bus, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, and the announce crew, didn't really play a role in that. I mean, I guess they could have called a spade on the air and they didn't do it, but I looked at the Joe and Chauncey extensions as like good soldier contracts, like that kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Yeah.
So
Um, well, part of it is knowing if you know Calabro is probably like Dunn is going to fire Calabro and that's going to be bad PR. Like maybe they kind of wanted that situation to
oh,
happen.
well, I mean, okay, so that's kind of interesting, and I mean, not to get too far down the road into the talks of the what's been going on with the team and all the theories and stuff like that, but you know, at least with Calabro, you're kind of doing the you want to mistreat the person so that they break up with you first, right? And then you go, well, they broke up with me, and but the truth of the matter is you weren't doing anything to make them want to stay. So it just seems like these incredibly low offers to keep a job that you already have are kind of the MO to get people to walk away from the franchise.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
I'm trying I'm trying to see everything that's happening. I've been very
But they kept your girl, which
yeah.
was very important.
I mean,
So
I know a few of you will probably disagree with this, but I feel like you're brain dead if you fire Brooke.
I
Or
take
let
that
her
offensively. That's
yeah.
offensive.
Not just I mean, she's like a part of the broadcast and
She's great. And they're going to
I
consolidate. They're going to consolidate a lot of roles into her. And I kind of I get that. I can
yeah.
see that.
Yeah. But what I was gonna say is I see I'm definitely gonna get the bootlegger comments in in chat again. But I've been through this whole process trying to look at things from like everyone's perspective. I've been trying to not get too emotional about any of these things. And so to me, I get people upset that like Calabro or Demers or whoever it was that got let go, Casey Holdall, etc. Um, but to me, if I was going to come in and I wanted to replace my announcing thing, I wouldn't really. My negotiations would probably be subprime as well, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So to me, it's looking at it like I don't think Dundon wanted Calabro back. He didn't want to pay Calabro
Clearly.
what
Yeah.
cost, obviously.
Right.
So to me, this was always going to be the outcome if Calabro wasn't under contract, right? Like if he was still
Yeah.
under contract for 2 or 3 more years, that's why I said previous ownership could have done a solid. But it sounds like, just like in Carolina, he wants to bring in a very cheap alternative because he doesn't. If it's anything that's not on the court, and what's hilarious is I saw people arguing that this does affect on court things, and it's like, okay. So a particular reporter made comments that the announcing thing, it was basically like, okay, now how are people who say none of this affects on court going to spin this one? And this same reporter has been one of there are zero parallels you can take from the hockey situation, the Raleigh, Carolina situation, to this. And now he's saying the announcer situation means he doesn't want to win, but winning a title with an NHL team in almost the exact same scenarios with a city that needed renovation for their arena and all that kind of stuff. So it's just funny how like that same person would like spin that a different way. So
Well, I will say this from my side. So when people talk about it actually affects winning, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. I would disagree with that only because living in Los Angeles for the last 26 years, we had for many years when Chick Hearn was kind of on the decline, there was already an amazing voice in town calling games for the Clippers in Ralph Lawler, who was an amazing announcer and had these terrible teams to call games for so many years with the Clippers. So it really doesn't matter to winning, but I definitely believe that your announcer it's your conduit, to the team. He paints the picture. It's a familiar voice. Like you listen to the Blazers, you listen to Sean Lee, or you listen to, like Steve Snapper Jones, like, and so on and so forth. So I do think that with the announcing crews changing, you are starting to mess with people's experience
Oh, for
of the
sure.
team, which is a big downer. And I
Mm,
think this whole mantra of, well, winning cures everything. Like people say it in sports all the time, and there's a lot of validity to it. However, um, this whole idea of, well, if the team wins, nobody's going to care who's calling games for the team because they're going to be calling a winning team, and that's all people care about, et cetera, et cetera. And I feel like that's taking it a little bit too far. It's too short sighted. I'm okay with Calabro not being here any longer because I think we can all agree at some point when the Sonics come back to the NBA, that's where he was going to conclude his career.
right.
I think we all know that that was coming. So to maybe get a jump start on maybe discovering somebody who's really talented, who can be the voice of the team for a long, long time, I'm okay with it. I just hate to see people disrespected and treated poorly, And for somebody of Calabro's talent level, resume, his cachet around the league, I just hate this stuff. I
Yeah.
just really hate it. Now, I will say, I do think the broadcast team, like with the halftime show and the post game show and things like that, I do feel like it was a little bloated. Um, I mean, it can probably still function pretty well with Brooke carrying like a bulk of the responsibilities, obviously. But we'll certainly be curious to see who they get in there. But again, it's like after we did the show last week, and then this news came out like immediately after. I think we were texting each other, and I was like, "I'm just so sick of this.
Yeah.
I'm
Hmm.
so exhausted with the bad news. Like it's just such a drag, and I hate to see people treated so disrespectfully. Like I hate it.
Let me clear something up. I didn't say it didn't affect viewership or
Oh no,
fans'
you didn't say
experience
that.
of the game.
Yeah, you didn't say that.
I just meant it doesn't. You can still do everything in your power roster wise to win, and cut everything else basically. Like, so the argument in chat though is, has he done that with the roster? Like, is he trying to
Right.
win? And I think that remains to be seen. So I see a lot of people now absolving Joe Cronin of any decision making. Like, he's like, people said he wasn't calling the shots prior to this, and now he's not calling the shots because of Dundon.
Right.
Um, and so, but we have, I don't know. It's so difficult to me. Like I said, I'm just trying to get in the mind of Tom Dundon and figure out what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And if Joe's spinning it like we added an MVP level player, and like we're still under the tax or whatever, like, I don't know. I think Joe has done, like, that one move is enough to be like, oh, I did something this summer. It's not like I sat on my ass. And um and so I wonder if it's just he's going to see how this roster plays out and then adjust accordingly. But yeah, I mean, they did add a pretty big name player to the roster. Um, and so my thing is, regardless of, we can argue fit and whether there should have been a follow up move and all that stuff. But I keep coming back to this, Rich.
Like signing Christian Wood,
Yeah,
maybe.
we'll talk about that in a second. But I keep coming back to this, and that's okay. Dundon let his personnel people in Carolina do their thing. Maybe from what we've heard, he doesn't know much about basketball players. He doesn't know much about hockey players either. So he
Okay.
lets the GM make the decisions, and of course he has to approve them, and he wants them to account for why they're doing it, and he's going to question if the team's not performing or whatever, and all that kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But he specifically told us in his press conference here for the Blazers, when asked about how much he is involved in personnel decisions, he specifically said that he does not get involved at that level other than to question the decisions and approve it or deny it or whatever. And you can say, oh, he's lying, but he hasn't done that at all in Carolina, and they just won a title. And so if he's doing that here, I have a history of Joe Cronin making one goodish trade and then calling it a summer for 5 straight seasons, minus the Dame offseason, which was weird for multiple other reasons. But
Yeah.
I have the history showing that Joe doesn't know how to get a free agent with the MLE and doesn't know how to make a follow-up move to a good trade, and will just fall back on that one trade being enough when you add it to his one trade from previous years that was good enough. So
But he's very confident that they could go out and be competitive in recruiting.
right. So I once again want to ask why, and let me preface this again. I'm going to preface a lot of what I say tonight, not defending Dundon, but why should I take the leap and just be like, Dundon's lying, he's calling all the shots, he's doing it completely differently than he is in Carolina, versus Cronin just isn't quite good enough to balance the roster and make it all fit perfectly and make that follow-up move. He's just scared to pull the trigger on trading one of his guards right now. Why is that not the case versus, oh, Tom Dundon came in and is just completely blowing it up and wants us to sign a washed-up Christian Wood and like doesn't care about Joe Cronin at all, is just going to pay him to do nothing while he plays GM, when that's exactly what he said he doesn't want any part of.
Well, I mean, the one thing that I would say is, I mean, first off, you're a bootlicker. But second of all, I'm kidding. But
yeah,
I mean, look, here's the thing about Dundon, right? Like, everybody will tell you he doesn't care whether he's liked or not. He doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who would, aw shucks, lie to your face and tell you that he doesn't get involved in personnel moves, and then behind the scenes he's conspiring to get involved. Like, I actually feel like if he did enjoy having input, he strikes me as the kind of person who would definitely cop to that. You know what I mean? So
yeah. He doesn't even like going to the games, he said.
yeah, and that may be actually indicative of actually not being a great fan of the sport and just solely being in it for business purposes only. And he knows if there's like a spotlight on him watching the game and he ends up cheering at the wrong time or something like that, it's going to look really weird. So yeah, so I mean, this whole idea that he's like Jerry West standing in the tunnel eating his guts out because he can't stand to watch, I don't think it's that at all about him. But
Garvin says he hasn't spent anything. I was so down for him to cut costs and make us better. He hasn't. I mean, technically, Ja made significantly more money than Jeremy and Chris Murray put together, so he did add salary there. And we don't know. So one of the counters to what I was saying earlier about Joe always doesn't seem to know how to use the MLE is that it's hard to get a free agent to Portland, right? So how do we know he wasn't trying to get Joe to spend that money and just didn't, right? Like that doesn't, just because we didn't sign a free agent with a mid-level exception doesn't mean we weren't like Dundon didn't want him to use it or whatever, right? Um,
But there were
that's
a lot of guys. There were a lot of guys who, when they talked about teams that were in pursuit of players um, for that mid-level exception, we weren't listed in a lot of those uh,
no.
for a lot of those players. So it made it look like we weren't picking up the phone and calling players that would seem to be a good fit for this roster.
And so I don't know. Like I said, we can argue about the personnel roster. I don't know why I should take that leap and completely blame Dundon for it yet. And um, you know, you can sign a 1 year 1 year deal and then you have a tradable contract too. So I don't.
Well, I mean, look, let's be fair, right? I mean, because I saw after our stream last week, like there was some criticism, like, oh, it's just nonstop bashing Joe Cronin, et cetera, et cetera. I will say this: of all the seasons to really want to use that exception to bring a guy in here for around 14 million a year, this was probably the worst summer to do it with the franchise, a brand new owner who's getting terrible PR, the reputation around the league, it's a bad look, regardless of whether it's 100% accurate or there's fear mongering or it's a bit of both. So Tom did not hand Joe, like, for instance, let's just like look at it differently. Okay. Say the Phil Knight group came in to buy the Blazers and they come in and they say, we're going to pay for all the renovations and we're going to have state of the art this and that and like whatever the players want and just hookers and blow like around the clock, like just anything the players want, right?
Yeah.
And do we think that that mid-level exception would have been easier to get somebody to take? Probably, right? Because the franchise would look more sexy, more attractive. The long-term prognosis of the franchise would probably be more secure. We would have signed Mike Inori to a normal coaching contract, a 4-year, $28 million deal with a team option for a 5th year. You know what I mean? So I think that gives players, agents, et cetera, a lot more comfort getting on board. Whereas I think this summer, with a lot of uncertainty, and this isn't to make excuses for Joe, but just kind of reading the terrain of this particular summer, look, we know Joe is not good at this, right? He's not good at recruiting. He's not good at inspiring people to come join the Blazers outside of trading for them and drafting them. And in that case, they don't have a say, right? So he doesn't inspire a lot of confidence in his leadership skills. So that's going to be a difficult guy to jump on board with to come to the franchise. But having said that, this summer was going to be one of the more difficult summers to try to sell somebody on coming to Portland, Oregon, because you might not be coming to Portland, Oregon for very long. So
Well,
I'll just give Joe that little bit of grace in this situation, or at the very least, his own excuse to use for not bringing somebody in and it being difficult to get a free agent to come to Portland this summer.
well, the lease still does go for 3 more years, so they're
I know
pretty
that.
much stuck here for 3 years. So
I know
the
that.
most you can give a free agent is 4 years. So I don't know if that I'm buying that. Plus the new CBA, there's one thing that people fail to mention when they bring this up, and I'm not accusing you of this, but you can use it
Oh,
as a trade
Eric,
exception now.
you cut out. You cut out for a second. There's one thing that people fail to mention. Can
Yeah,
you repeat that?
I'm not saying you, but you can use the mid-level exception as a trade exception.
Oh
So
yeah.
you can trade for any player in the league making under $14 million without having to sell out salary. So to me, once that became an option, most players now, some have a trade, no trade, or something in their contract to where they could maybe deny a trade to Portland. But in most cases, you can control whether they come here or not. They don't have to want to come here, right? So
Yeah.
you don't have to convince them as a free agent to sign them. So to me, that goes out the window once you could use that as a trade asset to trade for a player making less than 14 million.
Yeah, that's a great point.
The other thing is with the new CBA, what's happening is you either re-sign with your own team, you re-sign or you sign with a different team that has cap space, and you have, very few teams that have that cap space route, or you're going to have to take a value contract to sign with a team to get it, because there weren't a ton of teams with the mid-level exception. So to me, it feels like if you have the full mid-level exception and are willing to use it, it doesn't really matter what your free agent history is. You should be able to get someone on a deal. And like I started to mention earlier, it's also the Blazers right now are in this weird situation where if they don't want to trade any of the guards, and they can't trade Tamani or Denny right now, really, because they need more forwards, not less forwards. So trading them for another forward doesn't necessarily make sense. So they need depth at the forward, and then they have their two centers, and then they have a bunch of into the bench guys. So to me, it would be smart, even if you didn't really want this particular player, or were kind of worried about how they fit, to sign someone to a 1-year deal for it doesn't have to be the full mid-level exception, but to have some sort of mid-level salary for when you want to make a move at the deadline and you're still scared to trade some of your players. You can be like, okay, we signed this guy for a 1-year deal. We knew it's probably going to be, unless he played really well, was going to be a trade chip at the deadline. And it doesn't even have to be a good player, because it's just an expiring contract that it was only going to be on whatever team he's traded to for a couple months. So they haven't even used that strategy, right? Short of, if you want to say, the Gary Payton II was that. So, and as Workshow says, it might not even been smart for him to just pay the money for a mid-level exception and go into the tax and be like a team that pays tax right now. Like, I don't know if we're going to be good enough to say, let's go into tax and add a guy who isn't even necessarily worth going into the tax for. So if that's the case, I would say, well, why don't you sign someone that's in between there then? So let's say they have 10 million, I think roughly 10 to 12 million or something like that between where they're at right now and that first tax line. If they use that full 10 million or whatever, they get hard capped at the first apron. But if you're not going to go into tax, then it's not. But maybe they don't want to get hard capped, so they can make a big trade with Drew and take back more money in a trade and get hard capped that way. But if you were already hard capped with that extra salary, then you might not have been able to do that trade. So maybe they're thinking about it logically. It just doesn't make sense for us right now because the roster is so imbalanced. I'm trying to be fair, but all this to say, it all comes down to me. I can't blame Tom Dundon for poor roster construction when we've been hearing that excuse for 5 years now from Joe Cronin. And this was the one summer, Rich, we were going into it thinking, wow, our roster has a chance to finally have some balance, and we got Dame back to come into this situation where he's finally got these long forwards around him and a balanced roster to play with. And then we completely screw that up with one move. And so I can't necessarily blame Dundon for that because that's been the MO of this organization since you and I started talking, basically, is
Yeah.
we need shooting last summer. Well, I didn't sign any shooters. Sorry. Like, you know what I mean? And we need
We
shooting
actually
again this
shoot
summer. Like,
we shoot worse
right?
with this move. Yes.
Um, but like I'm talking about last summer, right?
Oh
Last
yeah,
summer
yeah.
we needed
Last summer.
shooting and all that. You know, we
Yeah.
needed Josh Hart at every position, and we trade him. Like we need to. We're gonna win around Dame. We don't. We force Dame out. You know, and like I can go on and on about knowing you need length at different positions and positional versatility and all this kind of stuff, and then you hamstring yourself to a roster that has no versatility and has to have guys play out of position and can play small forward but isn't ideal to play small forward and all that. So I
Right.
have the history. I can point to every single thing Joe's done to where not making sense makes sense. I cannot point to a single thing that Dundon's done in Carolina or that he said he was going to do here that says that he will come in and just mess everything up and not let his GM figure it out or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it seems to me if his GM can't figure it out, he's not going to be here very long. And the only reason why he probably still has a job is because of that extension we talked about earlier. Because if
Right.
his contract would have been up for negotiation, much like Tiago Splitter and much like Kevin Calabro, Dundon would have lowballed him and he probably would have been gone, right? So, um, I, I don't. I understand that Dundon has done nothing, and this is the problem. Like, if he just said a few things or did something that ingratiated himself just a tiny bit to fans, but everything he's doing is like, no, F you, F you, F you. Like, I'm just going to do things my way. I do not care what you think about me.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the problem. But when all the dust settles, I cannot blame him. I'm not willing yet to be like Joe Cronin can't do anything. He's being forced to make all these moves by an owner. He's been forced to have an unbalanced roster. He's forced to not get a capable backup forward.
Yeah. No, I mean, I feel like the times we have spoken this summer, like this is this is just essentially what our conversations,
Yeah.
end up devolving down to, because it's just the same problem, and we look so, I mean, with the exception of, like this two-way signing for another guard, things like that, it just kind of looks like we're doing nothing in terms of roster construction. I mean, I still hold out hope that, there's some sort of September move or something like that. But
How dare you?
well, I know how dare I hang on to hope. And hey, speaking of hope, you
Great
like that?
transition. Yeah.
Is that a good segue? Is that a
Let's
professional
talk about
level
them
segue?
leaving Portland
Yeah,
altogether.
let's talk about that for a second. Now, I want to say very quickly, when we did the stream last week, I had the Blazers staying in Portland at like 70-30. Okay? Now, for the viewers out there, it dipped while you were away. But I refuse, Eric, until the moving trucks would show up, God forbid. I refuse to ever dip below 50% and go into the negative, because my predictions have been too good lately. I called the Knicks. I called LeBron to Philadelphia. So I refuse to say that the Blazers are going to leave. Okay? The Blazers are staying. Like that's where I land. But I did, like recently, until like the last couple of days, I did kind of hit the 52 percentile.
Yeah,
Like
I'm with you.
kind of getting a little nervous. However, there, I don't know if you had the same reaction to the news that started coming out today. Taylor Packard says that I am the human polymarket slash Kalshi. I appreciate that. So the news that has come out like last night into today Lazy Panda said, Rich, over under 42 wins for the Blazers. I would actually say 46. So that would be my prediction with the roster as it is right now. I would say 46 wins. So the news that's been coming out, Eric, is that, hey, there's some hope on the horizon. Things are looking up. The Blazers are coming to this city meeting on Thursday, and like adults seem to be talking, and it seems to start to look. And I'm starting to feel like that moment in the horror movie where the jump scare just happened, and the person like has seen the cat jump out, and they're now like just breathing a sigh of relief that now that's over. And I feel incredibly vulnerable right now that something bad is going to happen. So I wanted to throw it to you and
Oh, speaking
ask.
of that, I saw
And
Obsession finally.
oh, you saw it? How'd you
Yeah.
like it?
Oh, it was very messed up, but I enjoyed it.
Ah, you're married. Anyway, so you forget what it's like being out there in these streets, Eric. Um, but anyway, she deserves an Oscar nomination. But anyway, we could talk about that some other time. Um, so do you feel like this is a little performative on the part of the Blazers? That is what I am really nervous about come this Thursday meeting. And now I'll turn it over to you, and you can actually catch everybody up on where we stand today, what happened last night with Jason Quick, et cetera, et cetera. So you catch everybody up to where we stand in the negotiation saga today.
Well, the the news yesterday got Quick had to update his story two times after this initial report, but the initial report was that no, the Blazers were going to refuse to come to, I think it's on Thursday, the next city council meeting. And then whether that was incorrect or the Blazers saw how bad that looked and how much people were talking, and then they said they would make it a point to try and get there, I guess, and then now it's that someone will be there.
Bill Simmons. Bill Simmons getting out there doing work for Blazer Nation, which I really appreciate.
So, yeah, it sounds like this. I, man, I hate that I'm agreeing with Shady so much right now.
Why? Why you hate that?
I'm just teasing him.
Okay.
I actually think
What's up, Shady?
it's performative on the city council side, and now the county commission. I watched that S show of a county commission meeting. I watched the whole thing last week, Rich.
The S show.
I think I texted you. I was very positive about things until I watched how dysfunctional that meeting was.
Okay.
I'm just teasing you, Shady. But Rich, like, it gave me no confidence that these people know what they're doing, and this is not political. I think too often we get put in a position where candidates from both sides are bad, and we have to vote on one or the other, or one of the other is going to get voted in, whether you vote for them or not. And so,
well, that's kind of like all politics, right? It's like by the time you get to who your candidates actually are, the process has eaten up and spit out all the good people, and then you're left with what you're left with, and that goes for either side of the political aisle you're on.
but like, it's possible to have people on both sides that you voted for, or whatever, but that just don't do a good job. They're not good.
Yeah, sure.
At their job.
Sure.
Yeah. And it's okay to admit that if they're not doing a good job, and I think that's become part of the problem. It's like you have to back your whatever political side you're on, no matter what. So, in my opinion, it felt like now there were a couple that seem very logical, but it just seemed like it was a group of incompetency. And my example of that is so they go through this whole meeting and stuff, which I'll talk more about in a second, but they go through this whole meeting and the whole thing was to decide if they were going to vote that day on the funding or not from the county, which to this point the news was that it had already been agreed on. So like why is it now becoming like a thing where now okay now you're questioning your thing that has already said you were in on? But they decide they hear from all these people. There was a Blazer representative there, or no, there wasn't a Blazer representative there, but there was a fire representative. The mayor of Portland was there. They invited public to come and speak. Tom Dundon in disguise came up and spread a bunch of conspiracy theories. And then he came back up when they moved past the arena thing and we're talking about something else, and he had more theories. It's a joke for anyone who saw it. There was a guy wearing
I was gonna say,
and,
wait, what are you saying? Wait, what?
There was a guy that was wearing glasses and like a hoodie, and it looked like Dundon. Like when he first came up, I was like, "Is that Dundon? Like, what is he doing there?" Like I thought he wasn't coming, and then
see if I knew that I could get into this thing, that sounds like something I would have done.
Yeah, it was pretty.
I would have loved that.
It was funny, but like he was like so against like the renovations and stuff. It would just been hilarious if that was Dundon, like just like egging people on to not vote for it.
Yeah.
But anyways, so they hear from all these people, and there was all different perspectives, good and bad, in terms of proceeding with voting, and then they get to the end, and they're like, "Well, I'm gonna put a motion in to delay the vote or whatever," and they were like, "Okay," and then they were kind of confused on what that meant, and then they were just gonna like move on without like discussing when that was being shelved to, and then they're like, well, our next meeting is August 13th or whatever, and that's
isn't the vote supposed to be on the 12th?
That's what at the time that's what I was thinking, like
Okay.
And so they were ready to just move on and be like, okay, let's bring it back up on August 13th. And then the one like person who he basically didn't say much the entire meeting, but like he came up and was like, shouldn't we like discuss whether we should have this talk before August 13th or not? And then they were like, oh yeah, I guess so.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
And then
Bob.
it was like, well, I don't know, is everyone in town next week, or like when are we gonna get together and all this stuff? And then they couldn't even figure out if they wanted to get together before August 13th. It was just a mess. And then some lady was like, well, we're not doing it live, it's gonna have to be virtual. And I'm just like, well, this isn't the state where like you're coming from all different districts. This is the county commission. Like, why can't you have a meeting of the county commission in the county? Like, why are you and then like I said, like this was all supposed to be passed already or like approved, and then yeah, so then they couldn't even decide whether they wanted to do it before August 13th, and they were like, well, can we? And like it's just like, oh my god, just August 12th is the next big day, like just have the freaking vote before then. And then they had to call someone back from the city to explained to them why waiting until the 13th was a very bad idea. Um, and then,
Oh man.
and then they were like, Rich, well, if we wait till the 13th, what bad could happen from that? And um, the guy was like, well, if we negotiate with the Blazers on the 12th and come to an agreement, and then you come in on the 13th and want to put in different stuff than we agreed to, that's going to look bad if we don't know what you wanted when we're going into a meeting on the 12th to try and figure this out. So, like, it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense that you would do it on the 13th and without us knowing what you want us to try and get for you before that. And they didn't even know what they wanted. They didn't even know what they wanted to ask them to do. They like, that was the other problem. And so the guy was like, no, like, he basically wanted to say, dumbasses, have the meeting before the 12th so we know what you want so we can include those in our negotiations. And
Okay.
and and they're like, oh yeah, I don't know, like I guess, like, it just seemed like such a bother. And then so finally they decided to meet virtually on the 6th or something. But then they were like, all throughout this meeting, they're like, well, we just need more information about this. We need more information about this. And I just kept thinking, why don't you have that effing information already? Like, why? You were supposed to vote on this possibly today. How could you not have the information? Like, and then the other part of it was, it really seemed to me like they had approved it for sure. And then they saw the city fighting back about what's in it for us. And then two of them decided to question, well, why would we just blindly approve this? What's in it for us too? Like, why aren't we getting something out of it? And now
Yeah.
they're, going back on their word there and doing that. So um, this is, it was just a cluster F of, like, what are we doing? Like, I don't even care what your vote is on this situation. You just seem not able to even do your job right to get all the information prior to this day. Like, why haven't you had all the studies about whether it's worth it to put in this money already? Like, why do you need to get that information still? And they're like, well, the city's getting this information. Why don't we have it? And I'm like, good effing question. Why didn't you ask for it months ago when you knew this was coming to a vote eventually? And the whole meeting was like this, Rich. It was just like, okay, like, we know it's important, but what are we getting out of it?
Mhm.
And it's just like, oh my god, people, like,
There's a lot of things that we can use that money for, et
mhm,
cetera, et cetera. Like, so that was the talk last week.
right.
Now, from an outsider standpoint, living in Los Angeles as I do, so I have no sympathy for just ridiculous local politics because we're awash in it here in Los Angeles, and the way that we've mismanaged funds and things like that. But so apparently, from an outsider's standpoint, the beginning of this week has been better because my understanding is now the county money is okay, right? Like, isn't
No,
that where we stand
they
right
haven't
now?
voted. No, they decided to table it. Um,
Now I heard all this talk about they were going to take the revenue from the car rental tax, and that was going to take care of this money that's been allocated, in theory, for the Blazers, but that's not the case.
that is what that's the latest
It's
development
being
on a
floated around.
possibility, but there's nothing concrete there that they're even. I got the sense that a couple of them are starting to change their mind on whether they want to do it at all. So I'm not like, even if they find a way to do it, um,
Okay.
the, but that anything with the car rental stuff, I believe has just been what they're proposing, not what has actually been voted on or anything like that. So
Okay.
I don't think anything is. is set yet.
Okay.
Yeah. So I before that meeting, I was still, like we talked about in the stream, I was close to what you said, 70-30. And then I was like, oh man, we're gonna lose the Blazers. This is a disaster.
Yeah.
And so something from last stream really stuck with me, and that was people asking if it's been confirmed or if people are denying that Dundon had an agreement prior to buying the team of all this stuff. And I said I didn't know for sure, but I haven't heard anyone deny that there was an agreement, right?
Mm-hmm.
I went back and listened to an interview on a local radio station here from June 15th with the perspective of, this was a couple days ago, so the perspective of now that all this S has hit the fan.
Okay.
And it was conveniently on the fan, the radio station, the fan. But they had a city council councilwoman on the show. Candace Avalos was her name. And Jason Sukanik asked her point blank if they had a deal in place with Tom Dundon. And I didn't remember this question at the time, but he actually asked her if they had a deal in place, and or what, like, here's your chance to combat this, right? And this person said, Rich, that they only said they had a deal in place to make sure the state said yes, but they didn't actually know if they were going to accept the deal, but they told everyone they did so that the other people involved accepted the deal, and then when they came to vote, they could then use that information to get their deal done. Okay? So when you hear that, what do you think? What comes to your mind when you hear that?
I mean, just more of the S show that
Yes.
you were that you were talking about.
So here comes another preface. This Dundon has done nothing good, right? He's done nothing good, goodwill wise or anything. He doesn't deserve respect. I'm not trying to say I am on his side, but
Benefit of the doubt. Yeah.
If I was Tom Dundon, before I bought the team, if I had the city, the county, and the state all agree that the deal would be done, 100% funding from those three entities, nothing from you, okay? I buy the team. It's time to sign those deals into place. You couldn't actually sign them at the time. It's time to sign that deal, right? And then the city's like, no, actually, we want something out of this. We're not going to sign it. How pissed would you be if you were Tom Dundon, right?
Oh.
I'm not defending him, but I would tell you guys, F you, you're paying for it all too, right? Wouldn't you? You said you were going to pay for it. Why should I have to make like compromises and pay whatever? I don't care if you think that's right or if it is right. I don't, out of principle, if I'm like this billionaire owner, I'm going to say F you to that, right?
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
No, the city said this. The city representative said this in this interview I listened to from June 15th. So, yeah.
Say what you're responding to. So just Tyler J said the county said that, not the cities, but you're disagreeing. You're saying that's not what you heard.
The county also in that meeting tried to say, well, those were those weren't official. It wasn't official counselor or commissioner meeting, so
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't an actual vote. You can't take a privately agreed upon thing and say we for sure have to vote for it. We can do whatever we want. So they're also now going back on apparently what is it? So what's crazy to me, Rich, is so now the whole national media, every single person's piling on, right? Every big thing, all
Oh
saying
yeah.
Tom Dundon wants to relocate. This has been his plan all along. Blah blah blah. But
This is terrible. Rip City. It's terrible. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I keep coming back
Bill Simmons.
to. It seems to me we can disagree that he should have, or the city, county, and state shouldn't have agreed to this prior. But it seemed like he came into this with thinking he had a deal and
With
was
an
going to keep the
understanding.
team in Portland. And when he says, I wasn't even considering relocation, that's what he means. He thought the deal was done for the arena and this was
Yeah.
going to be a smooth process. And now he's being asked to do all these other things that weren't part of the agreement. And instead of that, now people are, instead of blaming the people who backed out of that deal, they're now saying, oh, well, this was your plan all along. You wanted to move the team. You don't care about Portland. You want to move. Why would he why would he agree to that deal if he wanted to just piss everyone off and move the team? Because if no one backs out of the deal they agreed to, he can't move the team because he's locked into this renovation and the lease and all that, and the team's here. So I don't get why people think this has been his plan all along to F over Portland and do this. Now we can talk about whether fully funding it without a dime from him is effing over Portland or not.
Yeah.
And he's an a-hole. He's definitely come in and not, like I said, he hasn't done a single thing to try and even approach fans being like, oh, okay, cool. Like, it's now just like, what the F did we get into? Can someone else please step in and take this team from him before it gets out of control, right? So, yeah, like as Bryce says, zero community outreach. And I think that's a major misstep by him. Whether he likes to do it or not, I do feel like that could have maybe helped him throughout this process.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, he could have. Yes, 100%.
But I keep coming back to, it seems like that's how everyone takes this argument, is Dundon's acting in bad faith because he doesn't want to keep the team here and wants to relocate. And now we hear today the I think it was the mayor of Kansas City say that they want an NBA team and they have a 20,000 seat arena ready for.
Wasn't it St. Louis?
No, it's Kansas City
Louis.
that has the arena and all that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I just keep coming back to, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think some of this, like, I think some of the stuff gets a little cloudy when people want to talk about the way it should be. You know, like I saw Rachel Nichols and Bill Simmons has done some of this too. This whole like cities and you know, localities should not pay for their arena. Like it should be the billionaires paying for this stuff and things like that. Like I think going down that route when talking about what's going on with the Blazers, I just think that's a waste of time. Like we can talk about what should be and the way that things should be and what would be great, and does it really, in the long term, um, like when you look at what NBA teams have gone for, sometimes in a very short period of time when a team is turned over, when you look at the amount of revenue that's generated from a sale, like what did Allen buy the Blazers for? We talked about a long time ago, like $80 million is what he paid for the Blazers.
Yeah.
And it just went for, over 4 billion. So like when you look at that, like we can have the conversation about whether we should live in a world where owners just always pay for their new arenas, their renovations, et cetera, et cetera. And I see a lot of people want to come down on that side when it comes to arguing about this issue, whereas I'm much more, at least I think, practical on the side of yes, we could talk about the way we wish the world was, but we have to evaluate the world in the way that it is. It's kind of like when people talk about Dundon winning the Stanley Cup and putting himself and his wife and his kids on the cup, which is just breathtaking to me. But that's another discussion for another time.
Fun fact real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you know the champions the previous year also put their kid's name on the cup?
You've just given me more hockey stats than I ever want.
Yeah.
So no, I did not know that. But it just amuses
it's
me.
It's Dundon though,
but
so
anyway.
Yeah.
So
I think it
evil,
looks
right?
bad too. I think it looks bad.
No, I just think it's funny. It's great for his kids, but at the same time. But my point is, like, when people want to talk about what Dundon did in the NHL doesn't matter because this is the NBA and the NBA is different, et cetera, et cetera. I get it. The NBA is different. But the reality that we're in, the guy who owns our basketball team just won the Stanley Cup. And you know who that matters to? It matters to him. And that Stanley Cup is justification to him that his way works. And that's how he's going to conduct business. And that's how he's going to try to do things. And that is the prism by which we need to look at what's happening with the Blazers, whether it's announcers, whether it's coaching, whatever it may be. So going back to the discussion about what's going on with the renovation, I think a lot of people want to get stuck in owners should just pay for this stuff. It should never be on the local governments and the taxpayers to pay this stuff. I kind of agree with that, but that's not the world that we live in.
No.
But that's not the world that we live in. So let's just talk about the world that we live in. And I feel like that helps us to have more rational conversations as opposed to just getting worked up and talking about the way things should be. So, so go ahead.
100% agree. And that's, I try to always say that before I go on rants or whatever. And that's, I don't like the system either. I don't like that Portland and the state and county have to come up with the money to do it. It would have been awesome if the owner came in and did it. But
yeah, it'd have been great.
If you agreed to it, plus you own the arena, but if you agreed to it, I don't like doing business that way, like going back on your word. And I know that's pretty common for politicians as well, but it just, to me, it seemed like a lot of these people are in over their head, and a lot of politics has just become like, well, you used the word performative earlier, and I mean, I'm trying to think of a better word than that, but I can't really.
It's really not for politicians.
Yeah, and so it has become,
because once people get in office, if it's not about lining their pockets or like continuing to reposition themselves to just get reelected, like that's almost their only two things that they end up focusing on. I know that's a very basic take from a layman, but that seems to be, unfortunately, what happens. So
yeah. Well, Yeah, so I personally hate the system. Obviously, I think we can all agree there. We hate the
Yeah.
system. I mean, if you're rich enough to buy a team, you should be rich enough to help with the renovations and all that. Um,
Hmm.
but unfortunately, um, we didn't get a Steve Ballmer type rich person to buy the team, and that unfortunately is um, going to really mess up. Trying to do. I don't know. It's it just sucks because the alternative is either call his bluff and make him
Yeah.
go back and do stuff that he probably won't be willing to do, especially if he feels slighted by Portland. Um,
Sure.
and I can't necessarily blame him for that if he started out thinking that this was going to be a non-contentious thing and it turned into be super contentious. I can't
Well, and
necessarily.
I'm sure on his side, and this is the thing that I say on the show a lot, but one of the easiest ways to get through life is to remember that everybody is the hero in their own story,
Yeah.
right? So Dundon, if he felt like he already had this worked out, and then all of a sudden he's feeling like people are like the county or the city are starting to go backwards on things that they had promised. I'm sure in Dundon's eyes, he's like, I thought we had a deal. You guys are going to treat me this way. I'm just coming into this market. I don't have any emotional ties to this market. I could move this team if I wanted to, and you guys are going to treat me this way when I thought we had an agreement in place. Now that's not to make excuses for Dundon for the way that he's treated people. The way he treated Calabro was absolutely abhorrent, and I hate it. But at the same time, like, we can hold multiple thoughts in our head at the same time. And I think I texted you last week. I was like, Eric, with the exception of Micah and the players and the fans, I hate everybody else.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
I'm mad at the organization. I'm mad at the city. I'm mad at these people in the county who seem to be kind of moonwalking a little bit. Like, all of that. Like,
Hmm.
like, this isn't even though we're talking about sports and we're talking about the Blazers, this isn't a jersey wearing situation. Multiple people on both sides can be conducting themselves inaccurately or improperly, I should say. And we can just call a spade, you know, 10 times out of 10, as opposed to just having that blanket attitude of like, well, if Dundon did it, it must be bad. You know what I mean? So I'm fine with looking at 10 things that Dundon has done and saying, yeah, I don't like that one. I don't like that one. I don't like that one, as opposed to just saying, well, he sucks,
Yeah. Well,
because I don't think that gets you anywhere.
and what it always comes back to me is, and this is same with politicians, right? Like, you can make tough choices and things that aren't popular or that aren't going to be well received, but also have some freaking decency about it, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
just freaking tell Calabro, you know what? Like if
We
I
don't want
was
to insult you.
if I was to give you a contract offer, it wouldn't be fair to a person of your caliber. And I I mean I will send you over what I'm willing to offer if you really want it. But for me, it's just I just don't want to pay my announcers um, this kind of money. It's no offense to you or whatever, but this is how I feel about the situation, and I'm so
Yeah.
sorry that that means that you're no longer going to be employed if you don't want to. But like I'm going to try to find someone that will accept 40% of your contract and no benefits and all this kind of stuff. and like I know how bad that looks, but I out of respect to you, I just don't want to like even insult you with an offer or something. And
Yeah.
then, as Tyler points out in chat, Neil Everett said he found out from Forbes or something. I think that he was being let go, and it's like, dude,
Terrible.
like at least have the decency to freaking call the people, and yeah, um, it just
Landon Cottrell just said the radio guy who Dundon let go in Carolina got offered a contract with an 80% pay cut, and he'd been there 40 years. 40 years? I mean, they came from Hartford, right? So are we to assume that that's a Hartford announcer that moved with the Hurricanes, right? I guess.
I don't know. Yeah.
But regardless, he said shady. I don't know how that isn't cheap / disrespectful in your mind. He may be talking to chat in that and not us, but yeah, I mean it's just horrible. I mean I hate all of this. I hate all of this stuff, with the exception of the fact that it did lead to Calabro's subprime
Yeah.
comment, which is epic, and will live forever.
Yeah. So I completely. There is no excuse for just being a crappy human and just treating people this way. So once
Yeah.
again, I don't like it. I don't like how Dundon's not seemingly caring about anything. Is just going to be an a-hole to everyone and do what he wants to do and all that. But once again, I'm trying to figure out like what he's doing versus the type of person he is, and I don't think um I don't know. It's just it's tough to, because when you're such a bad person to people, it makes anything you do, or like it just, like, people aren't going to accept anything, like you have to sort of massage the situation a little bit, like show some energy towards that, like
Mhm.
just, and so to just come in and just crap on everything and just treat people the way he's treated while kicking them out the door, this is not cool, and it's like the playbook of how to get everyone to hate you, and I don't understand why you wouldn't want to somewhat get your fan base to want to have you as the owner, instead of everyone now wanting us or wishing that someone else bought the team, or that
Well,
something
especially
else
well,
happened.
especially well, especially if your calculus is the bottom line, like some of some of your calculus should include the relationship with the community, and if you continue to build off the relationship between the franchise and the city and the state, like you're going to make more money. Like if the vibes are good, et cetera, et cetera. I know that he seems to have this like, well, as long as we win, et cetera, et cetera. Well, have we necessarily set ourselves up to win at the highest level with the summer that we've just had? I would say no. So I just don't understand, even for selfish reasons, why you would not, even again, this is the word of the night, I guess, in on the show and in chat and things like that. But from a performative standpoint, I don't understand why you wouldn't try to kind of charm the community a little bit, even if you're solely doing it for selfish reasons to line your own pockets or to make yourself look better in the negotiations with the city,
Mhm.
and the county and the state and so on and so forth. So I just don't get it. I don't get it. Eric, I've got like maybe 10 minutes.
Okay, so Tyler Smith,
So,
I don't know why I haven't thought of this word, but he says just a little bit of humanity. That's a great word, and it's I just I don't understand why Uh, I don't understand why you can't have a little bit of humanity and compassion to a fan base that is worried about losing their team, and
Yeah.
just come in, and it costs nothing to be a nice person. And that's the thing that always bugs me about when rich
It's
people
cost
are assholes. Like,
it's cost me a lot, Eric. 51 years of it. What has it got me
yeah,
being so nice?
right?
I'm done with it.
But like you can talk about cutting costs and justify it all you want, but you can still do it graciously and with a little bit of respect to the people you're doing it to that have been
I
longtime employees and stuff. But yeah,
I honestly thought when he came in here, and sorry, my dog is grabbing a squeaky toy. Hey, she just jerked it right out of my hand, the little twerp. Um, okay, hang on. I'm so sorry. Hang on. Hey,
you're good.
you can't do that. Okay, sorry.
Had that happen
Um,
before too.
uh, your dog is typically tap dancing in the room.
Well, yeah,
Um,
well, I do it on
so,
hardwood floors, so yeah.
but before I forget my point, when he came in, Lazy Panda said, "Have some heart, Rich." Lazy Panda, you have no idea. This little stinker gets anything she wants. Uh, come here, come here, come here, come here, come here. Come here, come here. Okay, she's being shy now. So, what I was going to say about Dundon, when he came in, what I thought was going to happen was I thought the team was going to do some cost cutting. I did think they were going to trim the bloat of the organization. I did think that when it came to things like spending money on the announcers, I did think that we were going to, possibly lose Calabro and things like that. I did expect these things. I just thought that it was going to be done in a these are the things that we have to do, but we appreciate your contributions to the team. Like, I don't know why I thought that. I just, maybe because that's just kind of the way that I would conduct myself if I were in a similar situation. I always try to be as classy as I can to people, even if I disagree with them. So, you know, I, I mean, the cheapness, quote unquote, I didn't anticipate, but us not being so, because when we had Paul Allen, like before Paul died, and especially for like the first, oh gosh, 14, 15 years of Paul being the owner of the Blazers, we were spoiled rotten. We were so spoiled as a fan base. We didn't act entitled or anything like that as a fan base, but we had it so good with an owner that, quite frankly, was bigger than our small market, and he ran us like we weren't a small market team, and that was wonderful.
Yeah.
So I was ready for something different that looked a little closer to our small market roots, but I just didn't expect it to be like this. So that's what's been so disappointing to me. So
Yeah,
but
I don't get it, man.
so let's do this. Let's kind of sum up a little bit. And by the way, real quick, to everybody in chat, I made sure to blow up the chat tonight so I could kind of follow along. You guys have been great tonight. Like your conversations tonight have been really, really great. So thank you all so much. Am I bootlicking? Is that what I'm doing?
No,
Is that what I'm doing?
It got off the rails politically.
Well, a little bit, but
no,
I
there's a lot of name calling and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I've missed the name calling. Oh, okay. But anyway, but just thank you to everybody for being here and for commenting. Please click like and all the things on the channel. But what do you think? I wanted to steer us in this direction to kind of land the plane a little bit. What do you think happens on Thursday? What are people going to be talking about after Thursday?
I think the city is going to come in with demands that they want, and I think the team is going to be like, well, you said you weren't going to do this. Um, real quick, one other thing from that interview I wanted to mention that I listened to on June 15th. The question was raised, why, like, yes, 120 million is a lot of money that the city has to approve, but over the course of a 20-year lease, that's like 6 million a year. What, like, that's for an $8.5 billion budget, in a budget that last year included 5 million in giving needles to homeless people.
Oh, yeah.
So he asked why 6 million is even like a discussable amount that wouldn't, and then if you don't put that in, you're possibly losing the Blazers over 6 million a year. And she said, well, you have to include the cost of having the arena. And that's another, she said somewhere between 240 and 285 million to run, basically have control of the arena and stuff. And
Okay.
and so Jason Sukanik then said, well, you own the arena whether the Blazers are here or not, so those costs aren't dependent on you renovating the arena or not. You're going to have those costs in a then vacant building, right?
Yeah.
And so, and she was like, well, yeah, but and so to me it just keeps coming back to, if you're thinking about this logically, I do get why it doesn't make sense and that people don't want to add taxpayer money and stuff like that. But it also comes back to me. You're also going to have to find a way to fund a lot of these programs if you lose the money from the Blazers being in your city. And there were several business owners that, restaurant owners, bar owners, that talked about how they only survived because of making it through winters with the Blazers and stuff like that. So what I think is going to happen is the city's going to come in with a bunch of irrational and, well, not necessarily irrational. It makes sense why they would ask for this, but stuff that is non-starters for the Blazers. So I feel like the Blazers are going to listen on Thursday and then simply say, well, that's all great, but we thought we were getting a fully funded arena and that didn't include any of this stuff before. Why didn't you bring this up when we talked about this issue months ago? And I feel like it's going to be always, it's just going to come down to whether the city and the county end up funding the full amount without any sort of concessions from the Blazers, because I don't think they're going to give many concessions at all. So it's always going to come down to a vote of whether they want to make sure this team is here still or not. And honestly, I have no idea how that vote's going to go. But for me,
Yeah.
it seems like it's always going to be coming down to whether you just have to suck it up and say, this system sucks. It sucks that we have to put in this money without any sort of concessions from the Blazers. But the alternative is they might be gone and we might have an empty Moda Center, not completely empty, but a building that needs renovated anyway in the next handful of years. The Fire agree that it is not up to standard and needs renovation. I don't know why they don't take any heat in any of this. But
The Fire take the heat.
but
Honey.
to me, I don't know how that's going to go. I don't know if some of these council people and commissioners are going to be like, you know what, I'm not going to be the one that forces the Blazers out of town, despite how bad this may look or how bad it is for the city or the county. So I think it's going to come down to that, and I don't really know how it's going to go, but I want to believe that they'll ultimately, if it comes down to keep the Blazers or not, they will vote to keep the Blazers, because I don't understand how they can grow as a city if pretty much the
Yeah.
biggest business in the city then leaves after a lot of other businesses have done the same.
Yeah, I mean, civic pride accounts for a lot. Is this thing streamed on Thursday?
I'm not sure. There's been
I
some
don't
people on Twitter that
think
have started
so.
following that have been um, very on top of following this and posting links to when it is streamed. So I'll keep an eye out, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. Okay. My prediction is that the Blazers send a very small contingent, and it might just be one.
Hankins.
To yeah, send him out, and we the Blazers will probably say something along the lines of, "We're just here to listen, to hear the city out, hear what they have to say, et cetera, et cetera." And that's my prediction for what happens on Thursday. So a lot of where are the Blazers coming from? I don't think we're going to get a lot of that on Thursday. I think they will try to paint that they're being respectful. They took the invitation. They're here to listen, and then he will go back and then report to management, and then they'll come back with a counter or whatever. By the way, side note, I think I texted this to you, but when people are asking the Blazers, like, can we get like a breakdown of what the money is going to go for, like before we just give you like almost $600 million? Do we secretly suspect that like Dundon knows a guy who will do it for like 50 grand, like the renovations to Moda Center?
Well,
That's just a joke, but I don't think it's completely out of bounds just to hear like, what are your plans for this money? Like, where's it going to go, et cetera, et cetera.
well, that
I
was
don't
one
think
of the
that's outrageous.
that was one of the more interesting things that came out of that county commissioner meeting was it came out that this was the NBA saying it needed 600 million in renovations, not necessarily immediately, but in the very near future. That is like what their representatives are saying. It needs this amount of money to make it viable for the future. I don't know how they came to that number, but they said that number is coming from the NBA, not Tom Dundon.
That's coming from the NBA. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is way, way above my pay grade. Oh, you trying to come on here for the people? You want to make an appearance for the
Yeah,
people?
show the
That's my
dog.
dog Grace. That's my dog Gracie. She won't let me grab her. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come on. If you want to be on camera, you're killing it. Anyway, yeah. So I mean, that's really my last word on things tonight. We'll definitely see what happens Thursday. We'll probably be back here unless something major happens, like a big trade or something.
Yeah, right.
We'll probably recap this stuff at some point next week. But yeah, man, I don't know. I'm getting nervous with all of the people who start talking about, oh, this is finally good news for the Blazers and things are starting to look up and there's not really a viable place for the Blazers to go to. Like, all of these places have problems that like, it's all a lot of really positive talk. And maybe because I'm simply a Blazers fan that I have come to expect doom and gloom, like some big injury or something like that. But I'm a little suspicious at the lack of skepticism in the process in the last 30 hours or so. So I'm really like, man, this seems like people are setting themselves up for a little bit of disappointment. But I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Appreciate it. Rich, it's been great talking to you.
Thanks, guys.
You
too.
At some point, I hope we have much more positive stuff to talk about. You know, obviously, if a deal gets done and the Blazers sign a 20-year lease, we can come on and celebrate. But you know,
Look, man, our love for the Blazers and desire to keep this team in Portland, Oregon, that is something good to talk about. Like it may
yeah,
like the fact that we can love a franchise so much that the thought of them leaving hurts. Like I know that that's like a scary thing right now, but at the same time, like glass half full guy, like that's kind of great to have something that you care this much about. I just hope that it turns out the right way for all of us, you know?
I'm putting the
Taylor Packer said, do we get a drunken Eric stream if we get a new 20-year lease?
sure. Maybe you can get drunk for the second time ever.
That was quick. Oh God. Oh my gosh. I can't even imagine being drunk on stream. Not saying it wouldn't happen though.
But yeah, I do want some positive stuff to talk about. So
To talk about, yeah.
hopefully a deal gets done and we can start going back to talking about on court product and all that kind of stuff. Because
Yeah.
I know a lot of people, and I don't blame you for this, just completely tune out to this kind of talk, and it's at least it's happening right now during the like these next
The dog days.
the next 2 months are never really huge in terms of stuff happening anyways. Usually we did have the one summer with the Dame trade saga,
Oh yeah.
you know, lasting until the end of September, but right before training camp. But for the most part, you know, these are the streams that we have to come up with content to do anyway. So it sucks.
Well, unfortunately, it has not been hard.
Yeah, it sucks that we have to talk about this so much, but I mean, it is very relevant to the Blazers, and this is the Blazers, and losing them would really suck, and hopefully we don't ever have to have that stream, because I honestly don't know if I can handle that.
I will say this. I will say this. If things don't go well Thursday, if there's bad reporting out of Thursday, the public service announcement video that I did 2 years ago that everybody like really likes so much, the 6-minute video, it's public service announcement, it's on the channel if you haven't seen it. There will be a new one of that where I come on as a representative of the Portland Trailblazers and basically like tell you all the wonderful plans that we have for the Portland Trailblazers.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for that video if things don't go well on Thursday. I've got some very I've got the Blazers in the sights of my comedic justice if things don't go well. So
Nice.
and you are just getting in my shot. You're in my shot, kid. All right. I'm gonna have to say goodbye. Dog needs to go outside.
Thank you
So do I.
to everyone for watching. Give everyone a Blazer fist bump on the way out. And hopefully those can always remain Portland Trailblazer fist bumps.
We'll see.
But thank you everyone
Hey,
for watching.
as I told you over the weekend, Rip City Retro sadly may end up being the greatest name for the channel ever.
Yeah.
And I hope I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, I really hope you're wrong.
Oh God.
Yeah. So
I will constantly say over 50%. I don't care. Oh, Taylor Packer said, do you guys have any schedule for live streams or just winging it? Taylor, for right now, it's just winging it. I mean, obviously, you know, when we get to the season and there's game nights, I mean, that's not going to be hard. But yeah, I mean, we're not super scheduled right now. Eric's enjoying a summer for the first time in what, 7 years, Eric? You know, not having hard schedules and stuff like that. And, you know, I'm kind of shoring up some things on my end. So at some point we'll be somewhat consistent, but just not right now.
yeah, I do want to get to a point where it's like you guys know when we're going to be streaming.
Yeah,
This
I want
time
that
of
too.
year is kind of tough, but right now I'm just kind of like I want to stream with Rich, and I do also I do want to go back to doing a second thing a week, whether that's a video or another stream, solo stream or something. But um, like
What?
as long as there's stuff to talk about, we'll do too. Um, but or Rich could have a video. But right now,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just I'm trying to do it.
Yeah,
to where,
you're and you know this. You are free to like go live anytime you
Yeah.
want, like stream with anybody you want. Like you're free to do whatever you want, obviously.
But like right now,
And
I'm
so
just
am I.
trying to accommodate Rich's schedule as much as possible, and unfortunately, that can't be like specific. This time each week, he'll for sure be able to. So
Yeah,
um,
yeah. But,
so
but we're
until
getting
that
there.
changes, yeah.
We're getting there.
Until that changes, we might have a set schedule. But for now, just winging it, I guess. But thank you to everyone for watching, and appreciate you. Leave comments below.
Take
Like
care,
the
guys.
stream, subscribe if you haven't already. Appreciate you all. Have a good night. We'll see you next time on Rip City Retro. Bye, everyone.
Take care.